So today we're starting out with how to make a little parallel between a transaction coordinator and a production coordinator in the movies versus the real estate industry. So in essence, we're just talking about kind of like something that's parallel but that's not actually what we're talking about for the essence of this podcast today. Necessarily, we're talking about for the whole podcast today, the difference between actually making trading bots in the trading financial industry and just using the financial markets, and then the combination of doing that in the real world, the private trading markets, trading bots. Yeah, stay to the end to find out how we get there. Welcome to the news. So yeah, just to begin with, we're just talking about this little concept that like there's a parallel between production coordinators and transaction coordinators in the real estate industry. So in essence, it seems as though there's a little bit more of a demand in terms of the real estate industry. So transaction coordination is a good connection to be able to have if you want to be able to facilitate certain real estate deals, because in essence, it's possible to facilitate a handful of real estate deals through tools such as Pace Morby, for example. But having a transaction coordinator is a necessity for being able to try to facilitate various demand that exists, and it is similar to a production coordinator in a movie because they take care of the actual heavy lifting and they see a deal through to the end. That means you find the deal, you find the demand, and they will see it through to the end, in essence, like finding the demand, which is actually similar to what we're talking about in terms of the rest of today's podcast nonetheless. Not like trying to make a whole movie yourself, but just trying to find the script, for example, and then being able to try to send that script through to the transaction coordinator, and then having that transaction coordinator hire the people, connect the dots, connect the deals, do the structure, develop the paperwork, make a pipeline of processes of people that need to facilitate a certain connection, and then in essence be able to facilitate a whole line that is a process. So that's what we're talking about in terms of also the main aspect of what we're talking about in terms of translating the idea of trading bots, leveraging trading bots, the mentality of trading bots, which typically is just the foreign exchange markets or like the stock exchange markets, that in essence you unleash a trading bot and it is given a strategy and then it can unleash itself and go down the line in terms of just executing a certain process when it sees indicators that are making it happy to be able to make a trade happen. So it develops a trade idea, and it acts on those trade ideas. That's what a trading bot essentially is, and it does it time and time again. So in essence, that's what is meant to happen in terms of what we're talking about primarily today, in terms of finding people that are like interns with equity. Interns with equity are like the primary focus for today's podcast, because that's a scalable process. Interns with equity is a scalable process that we're trying to focus on, because in essence, interns with equity are the scalable tool that Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios is trying to sort of focus on in terms of a scalable product, more or less. Interns with equity, because in essence, interns with equity are people that are similar to transaction coordinators, but can be something that coordinate and correspond to transaction coordinators and production coordinators of movies, because in essence movies are like examples to me like every single kind of business in the world, because all movies are different like worlds that are made up every single time. They're facilitated with a script, and that script is acted out through the essence of production. In essence, the production, which is different from every single producer, every single director, it is always different. It's a different process for every single director, every single producer, every single production, and that's in the eye of the beholder at the same time. So there's a lot of creativity, there's a lot of art in the essence of business, there's a lot of art in the essence of translating and conceptualizing the essence of all given potential business, and this is the art that's also hidden within all human beings at the same time, and this is the connection to the greater artificial intelligence tools that are out there at the same time. So, full circle, it's just an interesting concept of how we're trying to focus on interns with equity as like the essence of what transaction coordinators and production coordinators are for the whole world. Basically for the whole world, for any industry, for every industry, basically, and then connecting that mindset with the essence of artificial intelligence and the essence of trading bots to make basically like a new kind of trading bot for the future, where we're talking about algorithms and potential for developing different algorithms to leverage data, basically leveraging data on all aspects of life, every single aspect of life being continuously monitored through aspects of macro data monitoring, so that for the most part there's a connection, just like in the financial markets. In trading bots, they see an opportunity, they're looking for an opportunity, they're looking for aspects of data repeating itself over the long term, and they activate trades and then they close out trades at the same time. So that in essence, what we're talking about in this instance with interns with equity is trying to send out an intern with equity who's an actual human being to get equity from sending energy into the marketplace that already is based on trending data, to in essence be able to ride the trend wave, basically basically be the surfer to ride the trend wave, do the buying, do the selling, do the transacting, do the selling, but it's got to be along the same lines of the business type of businesses that they're already doing to facilitate manufacturing of greater sales. So we're trying to buy sales. We're trying to buy sales from this intern with equity. Buy sales from this intern with equity, in essence, because we're just trying to indicate from whatever they're doing and trying to guide them to some other sales. So we're buying sales from them as an intern because in essence they're not getting paid up front necessarily, at least right now, right this moment. So that in essence the equity is really the biggest payment. It's the acknowledgement of the opportunity that's behind the equity or whatever, the intern and the equity, because the potential is already there with the intern because he's already in a place to position himself to make greater sales, to make more sales, to make more, facilitate more potential demand. And at the same time, that's how we're just trying to scale interns with equity, because in essence, when we're talking about leveraging and making trading bots out of artificial intelligence in the whole world and interns with equity, that in essence, that the essence of leveraging data is similar with trading bots as it is with like interns with equity, in terms of like being producers and production managers for and production coordinators for any given potential production that has a conceptual script. The script is like a movie. For example, a movie is like is the thing that is the guiding script. Like in essence, they talk about sales scripts to be able to make sales, like for any given business. Like people make a sales script and then they say stick to the script because that makes sales, and that's practiced, that's proven, that's according to data, it's according to a lot of processes to get sales. So at the same time, that's what we're talking about artificial intelligence making. As you know, artificial intelligence is very fast. Artificial intelligence can make scripts at lightning speed. So artificial intelligence, therefore, can also connect the dots from people around the world. Artificial intelligence can not only make scripts, but they can call people and they can facilitate and act out those scripts now too. And they're just enhancing themselves. They're getting better at actually talking to people. So this is the difference between sending out a trade in a trading bot sense, but this is extending it in time. Like if you think of it, a trading bot in for example, Bitcoin on bitsgap.com, for example, will open a trade on Bitcoin and then try to close it within a couple minutes or an hour, for example, to try to make $1 or $2, for example. So that whole process can be scaled out within a couple of years in terms of interns with equity. Interns with equity trading bots. Like this is an idea of just conceptualizing the nature of the future for trading bots. This could actually be happening right now, today, yesterday, 10 weeks ago, to be quite honest, with artificial intelligence, more or less. But we're trying to connect it and hinge it upon humans, and having human beings being the people that are riding those surfing waves and surfing the waves to be able to eventually try to exit a certain company with a certain brand and exit to be able to make a large exit and then move on with monetary energy at the forefront of that to continue to try to exit and sort of pass on companies to different people to try to continue to exit and then enter different companies and different energies, finding different opportunities, opening the trades and then exiting them. So that could be a couple of years. When you open a trade, that's like sending the intern with equity a message. Hey, let's go. Let's do this. Are you ready to do this? And if the intern with equity says, yes, okay, that is along the lines of what I already do. That is something that sends the trajectory forward. That's like the nucleus in the cell. If a cell is being talked about as the given energy that's being able to make itself multiply, just like other things that are in life, human beings, for example, continuous cell growth and continuous mitosis, for example, is something that we're talking about as like the intern with equity as like the nucleus of the cell. The intern with equity is like the nucleus of the cell. So those people are trying to continue to divide themselves in half and half and half and half, so their energy continues to grow and multiply, and the essences of the businesses grow, and the opportunity is facilitated in the marketplace, and then eventually we want to sell the company so that we can repurpose the energy and restart and try to carry over consistent turnaround. But this is what the essence of trading bots can be in the real world, in essence, because artificial intelligence can conjure up all kinds of data algorithms in the future that are just like, even right now, that are just insanely crazy conundrums and quandaries of like these like labyrinths, basically labyrinths of data that cause them to develop strategies all day long, basically endlessly, like infinitely, strategy development, conceptualization based on people, based on knowledge, based on what they know about specific people. Especially if you look at things like let's take the movie industry, for example. There were large influencers in the movie industry when there was a niche with the movie industry before, and then as things get go from macro to micro, now you have big influencers such as Mr. Beast. So from Leonardo DiCaprio, where it was nobody could enter the movie industry because it was just very difficult. And then you move that down when the internet opened up now down the line of time. Then Mr. Beast opened up the portal of being a movie star, that anybody could just be their own movie star because he's leveraging technology. And then after Mr. Beast, you've got other micro influencers. This is just obviously fast forwarded like a montage in time, but you have micro influencers after Mr. Beast. And then all these micro influencers are even now micro, it's becoming more micro as time goes on. And what that means, what the indication of, is that every single person in the world is valuable. That's the basis. Once the consistent value is continually strained out of every aspect of the market order as time moves on, it's showing and shedding light on the idea that every single person in the world has value. So as it continues to move down the line, it's the same way with people. So the more artificial intelligence knows, artificial intelligence knows about every person's personal brand, the more that artificial intelligence is able to put people on in terms of sending them and spreading their energy around the world to be more connected with the rest of the world and connected with the essence of what their greater potential conceptually is, because it knows everything about everyone else. So it has the ability to connect other people with other people that have the best potential to be able to connect themselves with the best conceptual potential, leveraging technology to cross borders, cross the world, and connect with vibes to other people that can connect with those vibes to be able to develop optimization, in essence, to be able to try to optimize consistent deals and deal-making structure, deal-making data strategy, conceptualization, to develop ongoing value production, if you will, value production, because that's in essence what we're trying to build in terms of a better, greater world. It's more fundamentally based around assets and asset mindset, and you can only grow things from a positive. You can only grow things from a positive. So we're trying to make a better world where there's more peace, more facilitating of philanthropy, more development of philanthropy energy, and we're trying to develop philanthropy energy to develop a global philanthropy energy grid, so everybody can kind of get along and participate with everyone else by being able to fundamentally, before I get off track, talk about how to make trading bots out of the private markets. Trading bots where people, and trading bots is what I meant to say, where artificial intelligence, I meant to say, is able to acknowledge what everybody's strengths are in the world, and it can develop algorithms for how to develop sending trades that are meant to be perpetual energy, based on asking different people different questions, what they can do, what they're capable of, and they will ask the questions they will trigger themselves to ask the questions to these people around the world to become interns with equity, because they're sent in a direction, they're sent in a new trajectory, because they're told that they think that they have the potential to go and do and try something based on market demand, market data, and where they currently position themselves and are. And this can be a concept of consistent unfolding, cross-hatching different demand energy that's being developed by different synergy from different artificial intelligence, recognizing and reflecting upon the essence of acknowledging that everybody in the world is unique and special, and it's making algorithm consistent developing of different dynamic energy equations from people energy, leveraging people energy, and then it's making those equations be like tunnels for the ability and potential for all this energy to travel through. And so it's constantly just making tunnels and tunnels of vessels for energy to be able to potentially travel through, but it also wants the energy to actually travel through those tunnels. So at the same time, it's trying to activate people such as interns with equity to be able to go on a trajectory, go on a journey, take a surf on the surf's waves of this potential, to see and realize this potential into market energy and develop this into market energy, so that fundamentally this market energy can come to realization. And this has to do with artificial intelligence in a very similar way to making trading strategies in the trading markets, in the financial markets, in the depths of analysis of quantitative analysis, to be able to develop strategies so that market bot movements are successful. That it's the same way with reading and understanding people and people tendencies, people data trends, people fundamental focuses and flows, to get other people to talk to other people, to have other people understand that they can work well with other people, and this can all be developed with artificial intelligence, sending an idea and a concept with an intern with equity. An intern with equity is like the nucleus of the cell, and that fundamentally is meant to divide and go through mitosis to divide itself and continue to grow itself until eventually it can become an exit. So that same trade that's similar to like a Bitcoin trade of buying and selling Bitcoin, like on bitscap.com, which is a trading bot website, for example, bitsgap.com, that in essence, it's just like that in terms of this idea of developing the new world, or having the new world be able to have endless aspects of trading bot energy, which is like real life business development energy, which is just like developing a movie. It's just like developing a real estate deal and having a transaction coordinator, a production coordinator facilitate the process. That's what artificial intelligence is facilitating the process. It's becoming that production coordinator or transaction coordinator energy to be able to send the message to the right people, to the person, to be able to get the essence of the energy to the person who is the intern with equity, to become the nucleus and realize the essence of themselves and realize the realization, to get to the place of developing and pushing that energy forward so that they actually get on the surfboard and ride the wave to potentially bring that market demand to fruition, and do that over and over again by developing different equations to incentivize different people and crosshatch and collaborate and synergize with other different people by developing algorithms and equations where, as opposed to just hiring a producer, for example, to develop a whole movie, artificial intelligence will hire the production coordinator as well as they will hire the producer, the director, the writer, and so on and so forth for every single role that possibly needs to be filled to fall behind the production coordinator, for example, who basically is there to make sure that everything holds together like glue and make sure that it gets to the other side. That's the primary goal, is to make sure that everything holds together like glue and gets to the other side of the goal, of the bridge. Everything is held together, nothing falls apart, and if anything does fall apart, that basically they're there, the production coordinator, to hold it steady like glue, to hold it together like glue. So that's the future of trading bots, hopefully, and that's basically it for now. Thanks again, Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios. Bye, peace, bye.
And let's all remember to push for world peace every single day. Let's all remember to push for world peace every single day. Let's push for world peace every single day. And also, let's remember to try to clear the animal shelters. Let's clear all the animal shelters in the world. Let's clear all the animal shelters in the world, because we can foster all the shelter animals. We can adopt all the shelter animals in the world. We can rescue all the shelter animals in the world, and we can also hire the shelter animals as healers. We can also hire the shelter animals as healers all throughout the world so that they don't have to be mistreated in animal shelters, and we can clear the animal shelters, and we can hire the shelter animals as healers throughout our communities. Hire the shelter animals as healers throughout our communities, because they also work for free and they could use better purpose and use better jobs and be able to add value and be therapeutic energy for humans and humanity, to help us be more harmonious as humans and among humanity for all the animals in the world, to clear all the animal shelters, to try to get them to transition their energy in terms of therapeutic energy to all humans, so we can clear the animal shelters to add value to humanity in terms of harmony if possible. And let's push for world peace every single day and clear the animal shelters every day. That's all for now. Thanks again, Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios. Bye. Peace. Bye.